Hey everybody, how are you? Welcome to Eric Berry Writes. It's been a while. It's been a while since I posted. I promise it's not exclusively due to lack of laziness. Last night we chatted. This is a chat, right? Being forced to listen to me. I feel like I know you. You know me. We're all friends. Last I chatted, I was on my way to Germany, and then I was on my way to Germany because I was starting a new job, and then I got back from Germany, and what did I do? I started a new job, and I've been busy. I've been busy, but one of the things I've been busy with beyond working is that I finished the rough draft of my manuscript, Rainbows, and I was focusing on that, and I'm focusing on that now, trying to edit that and hopefully get a literary agent and a publisher. So if you know anyone, let me know. But I did want to keep releasing podcasts and writings. I haven't written anything new. But I thought, you know what? Let's do another chapter of Rainbows. So this is going to be Rainbows chapter 4. I obviously don't want to release the whole thing on this podcast, but I figure 4 chapters is fine. The thing's 83,000 words, you know. So what's 4 chapters? It'll wet the palate. Dude, go to ericberrywrites.com and sign up for my newsletter, because that's where I'll update on here too. But if you want to know about the book and when it's coming out and what have you, follow me on Twitter at Eric Berry and on Instagram at Eric Berry Writes. Subscribe to the podcast. If I sound weird, it's because I'm in my mom's garage. I am in the Bay Area, back from Brooklyn for the holidays, and I didn't bring my podcasting equipment. And I thought that could be another excuse not to release one. But I thought, you know what, fuck it. Let's just record on my iPhone. So when you hear me reading, there's a few times I slip up. It was just too hard to go back and re-record and edit a whole bunch of shit from my iPhone. So I apologize, but I wanted to get that content out. I feel awful saying that. I wanted to release my art. That's what I meant. So here I am pacing back and forth in my pajamas in my mom's garage, which is, that'll be the origin story when I become one of those rich, famous authors one day, right? It all started in my pajamas in my mother's garage, like every true success. Anyway, that's all. All right, let's get to it. I hope you guys are having a wonderful holiday or whatever it is you're doing, lighting candles, fucking cutting trees. I don't know what you do. Till then, I'm Eric Berry. Please enjoy Rainbows Chapter 4. As far as I was concerned, Miss Levy was an evil woman. She was lilliputian in stature. I'd later learn that meant small, with nails that protruded from her papier-mâché hands. Every time she grabbed the chalk, dry and brittle like her, she'd drag it down the board in parched shrieks. Shrieks I'd only heard rivaled by the sound of her own voice. Her early morning routine of eating canned sardines and pricking her blood from her finger bolstered rumors that she may in fact have been a witch. We never learned Miss Levy's first name. I don't think she had one. I once heard a quote that said, "To learn the first name of your oppressor is to humanize them, and there's little in the world more vulnerable than being human." It's possible I just made that up. I really can't remember. Either way, the more I thought about it, the more it seemed like a crock of shit. I sat in my desk, my head propped against my hand. I thought about the sack lunch waiting for me in my cubby while Miss Levy droned on about the virtues of cursive handwriting. Processed turkey on dry white bread, always with too much mustard. While most kids looked inside their lunchboxes to find respite in their day, I was always met with bland disappointment. The culinary arts were markedly absent from my home. Our breakfasts were not ones of Belgian waffles, bacon, and fresh squeezed orange juice, but of grape nuts and 1% milk. The rare egg breakfast that did come our way did so via my mom's patented crack 2 into a cereal bowl and microwave for 2 minutes recipe. The recess bell rang out. Well, it was more of a tone than a bell, the kind you'd hear doing those tests to see if you were a deaf kid. All the deaf kids were in a special class at Tab Mountain, and everyone was afraid to play with them at recess, and I was afraid of them too. I just didn't want to do something wrong and make them feel bad, and so I guess I avoided it altogether. But I didn't feel good about it. I went to get up, hoping that by some miracle of God, a fruit roll-up had made its way into today's provisions. Chase, that's not how we make G's now, is it, Chase? Miss Levy pressed down on my shoulder, keeping me from getting up in my seat. I looked down at the paper before me. It sure as hell looked like a G to me. I thought about launching into a harangue, giving Miss Levy her own lesson in linguistics, about how language is nothing more than an ever-evolving tool of communication, about how its efficacy in communicating is entirely dependent on these imperfections, because we as individuals, as a society, as human beings, continue to evolve ourselves, and the flexibility of language allows it to adapt to context and nuance. My G was just that, a portal of communication through which all were welcome. I thought about speaking a slew of profanities not yet known to me. I thought about the fact that I hadn't had a chance to pee before class started. I thought about what might be in that goddamn sack lunch. Levy was about to hear it all when I opened my mouth. I'm trying my hardest. What a goddamn letdown. I think you and that chair are getting very acquainted with each other until you try harder. Levi scurried back toward her desk, a proud smirk on her face. With each tiny step, I swear I could hear her twat scrunching against itself like a paper bag full of dried leaves. I've never had good handwriting. Things just didn't always translate from my brain to hand the way I wanted. My parents thought the bad handwriting might be auspicious of a career in medicine. Instead, I gravitated towards writing. I guess I liked making things hard on myself. Compounding the issue was that I suffered from hyperhidrosis, meaning I sweated excessively from everywhere, any time one might be expected to sweat, and many times one would not. During tests, sweat would make its way from the grip of my hand, dancing down pen to paper like a sultry stripper. Thankfully, we had a family computer I learned to write on, meaning all the profundities a 5-year-old had to offer weren't lost to the sweaty sands of time. Once again, the recess bell rang, and the pattering of LA Light's shoes and the smell of high-C ecto-cooler filled the room. God, these desks were miserable contraptions. One size hardly fits all metal cages, hard to get into, hard to get out of, with a chair whose back was surely behind an entire generation of scoliosis. Tap, 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 tap. I bounced the head of my pencil's eraser off the etched and graffitied surface of my desk. My dad told me stories of when he was a kid, how he and all his classmates used Morse code to communicate with each other. I looked around to see if anyone had heeded my distress signal. No such luck. Levi once again shuffled to the center of the room. Class, next we're going to be learning about... 3rd grade. How many more dreadful years was I supposed to endure this? All this drivel that would have no practical impact in my life. I counted in my head. 9 years. Jesus. Each of you will be responsible for your own worm. Worm? What the hell was Levi going on about? My eyes snapped to attention. In Miss Levy's hand, she held one of those blue Danish cookie tins. Inside the tin, she revealed several large mulberry leaves sitting atop a paper towel, the leaves lined with hundreds of specks of white. These are the eggs, and you will be responsible for raising your silkworm until eventually it becomes a moth. Well, holy shit. Responsible for another's life. I felt a surge of goodness and a sense of import swelled inside me. Being in charge of bettering another being's life felt like the opportunity I never knew I'd always wanted. Levi set the tin down on a counter. Now file up alphabetically, she commanded. By first or last name? Someone asked. Chase was my first name, and Grayson was my last. That goddamn G would be the end of me. We lined up single file to pick which white specks of potential would be entrusted to us. Most of the eggs were clumped together on the underside of the leaves, near the midrib. "Chase, if you don't hurry up, I'll pick one for you," Levi prodded. That old bag should have been running an orphanage. The white eggs were largely indistinguishable from each other, some slightly larger, some slightly smaller, all an off-white color, all vying for a shot at viability. All except for one lone dot clinging to the outmost edge of a leaf's blade, exiled from the others. "That one." "Which one?" "The dot." "That one looks like it's already dying." That's more than Levi could say. "I'll make sure it doesn't." "It's your grade." Were we being graded on this? What did Levi think this was? Handwriting? I was handed a torn-off piece of mulberry leaf and a tiny plastic case. Inside the case, my little dot. I walked carefully to the back of the classroom, cradling the future in my hands, and placed it inside my cubby. I leaned down next to the case. "I'm going to name you Dottie," I whispered to the egg. I decided this would be as good a time as any to peek into my lunch bag. Processed turkey on dry white bread, always with too much mustard.
They call me Dr. Worm. Good morning, how are you? I'm Dr. Worm. I'm interested in things. I'm not a real doctor, but I am a real worm. I am an actual worm. I live like a worm. I like to play the drums. I think I'm getting good, but I can handle criticism. I'll show you what I know, and you can tell me if you think I'm getting better on the drums. I'll leave the front unlocked 'cause I can hear the doorbell. When I get into it, I can't tell if you are watching me twirling the stick. When I give the signal, my friend Rabbi will play the solo. Someday somebody else besides me will call me by my stage name. They will call me Dr. Worm. Good morning, how are you? I'm Dr. Worm. I'm interested in things. I'm not a real doctor, but I am a real worm. I am an actual worm. I live like a worm, and I like to play the drum.